was done growing up. Had enough of chasing down the sun, but suddenly I can see. was done growing up, had enough of chasing down the sun, but suddenly I can see everything evergreen. I won't pretend I ever found my way. I've made my healthy share of fair mistakes, still learning to give and the take. But I'm seeing everything through brand new eyes, taking in the world through different light. Thought I wasted all my life, but I think I changed my mind. Yeah, I think I changed my mind. I was done growing up, had enough of chasing down the sun, but suddenly I can see everything evergreen. I won't profess I've got it figured out. I know I'm only getting started now, still learning the ups and the downs. But I'm seeing everything through brand new eyes, taking in the world through different light. Thought I wasted all my life, but I think I changed my mind. I was done growing up, had enough of chasing down the sun, but suddenly I can see everything evergreen.
I don't think about it about you leaving me. I don't know who I'd be. But everything we built just turned to broken leaves. I don't think about it. Do you think of me? Walking out that door. Never hearing me talk to myself in the morning anymore. Would it all just turn and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn? You don't think about it. Maybe it scares you like it scares me. What do we do with all the possibilities? Doesn't it scare